Welcome to Talk Design Podcast, the space where creativity meets conversation. I'm Adrian Ramsey, your host. So my guest on Talk Design today is Todd Polke. Now, Todd Polke is a wealth strategist. He's actually just releasing a book, which is going to be phenomenal, and we're going to talk a bit about that today, but we're also going to talk a lot about designing your mindset, beyond designing your mindset, designing your wealth. And this is my first in-room podcast where I'm the one recording it. I've been on other people's podcasts this way, so bear with me. Let's see how we go. Todd, welcome to the show, man.
Mate, appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very much. Great being here.
So good to have you here. I mean, we've spent time together before.
We have, yeah.
Had some fun with that. But I'm going to kick straight off into, at some point, you were this kid, you were running around, causing trouble somewhere, no doubt.
Highly likely, yep.
Take me from that journey as a young kid to today, where you are now, and what happened in your life that formed you getting to this point.
Interesting. You know, I kind of, and this is where the book kind of leads in as well, and one of the big things that has prompted me to really write it. You know, I did what we were all taught to do, right? Did the whole schooling thing. I was always taught I should study really hard because if I can study really hard, then I can get into a university I want to go into and I can study more and that's going to help me get a good job. And so all the way through school, my parents kept pushing me, oh, you got to get that degree. You got to get that degree. You got to get that degree. And, quite frankly, academics wasn't really my thing, right? I graduated in the wrong end of average and it wasn't really my thing. And so although once I finished school, I did get into a university and I started doing some studying, I really found that there was this big misalignment between you and what I was bloody learning in education, 100% right. And so, I started 3 degrees, didn't finish any of them. But along the way, what I did love about the education schooling system, especially the school I went to, was that it was very high in the level of sports. And I just love sports. Always loved sports, loved athletics. And been playing judo since the age of 5. Played for my country and played overseas a lot. And so it was really such a formative part of my life. And so once I got out of school and got it and, started these degrees, I then became a personal trainer because I thought, well, that's the thing. I joined the army, became a personal trainer, did a whole lot of stuff in a short period of time. But here's where my life wound up. I was getting up at about 4 a.m. because I used to run these boot camps. Have you ever done a boot camp before?
Yeah, I have.
I was one of those guys. I was one of those guys that made you do like 1,000 push-ups.
One telling you.
100% I was, mate. Yeah, and laughing my ass off as people were throwing up in the garden and things like that. I had a great time. It was a blast. So I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning to do these boot camps. I'd then have clients until about, 10 or 11 in the morning.
Yep.
I'd have a bit of a break in the middle of the day, start again about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then I'd go through to about 7 or 8 o'clock at night with clients. And I'd do that 6 nights a week, and I was doing that 50 odd weeks of the year. But running a small business, and you've been in business for a while, just because the number of clients you have in the day stops doesn't mean the hours in the day you have stopped, right? You got admin, you got marketing, you got clients to take care of, you got all the other things. And so my day would wind up finishing up about midnight. And then the next day I'd be up again at 4:30 in the morning, 6 days a week, 50 weeks of the year. Because my whole rule of creating success in life at that time was simply this: the harder I work, the more successful I'll become. And I was beating that drum hard, right? Right. And that's the big question, right? And by about the age of 19 or 20, I literally broke myself.
Yeah, right. You burnt out hard.
Like health was broken. Here I was, a personal trainer, getting sick all the time. Go Todd, good role model. Well done. I was playing judo at elite level at that point in time. I was lifting heavy weights, doing triathlons, doing in the army, and I wasn't recovering. My body was breaking down. And I remember going for a run down the road. I was living in Brisbane at the time. I got about 400 meters down the road, couldn't walk, had to catch a cat back. And 3 weeks later, I was in surgery, having surgery on both my legs because I'd fully stuffed them.
Yeah, wow.
My relationship was stuffed. My personal life was stuffed. And the one area I thought that was supposed to be working really well, given the number of hours I was working, which was the bank balance, that was stuffed too, right? So, and I got to a point at about the age of 19 and 20, and I'm really grateful for this moment. I always call it like this done moment, and we've all had these in our life at time where we get to this point in time where it's a done. It's like we're done, like step over the line, out. And I had one of those when I was about 19 or 20, sitting on the Kangaroo Point Cliffs after another boot camp at 9 a.m., December 17. I don't remember the exact date well, and I had this done moment, and I went, "What the bloody hell are you doing?" And if I fast forwarded my life 5 years, 10 years later, would I be happy?
Would you be still doing it?
Would I still be doing it? And it was a scary thought, It was a scary thought. And I had that moment. I went, "There's got to be another way. There's got to be something more out there than just work your ass off your entire life."
So with it though,
Yeah.
your I'm going to make an assumption here, and you can correct me if
There we go.
Your attitude early on was to be able to go, if I put the effort in, if I drive this really hard, not necessarily really smart, but really hard,
correct. Yeah, good to
I
think.
will overcome.
You're right.
I will overcome. I will beat it by sheer force of will.
Right.
Yeah.
Spot on.
And then because you didn't have the balance, the sheer force of it beat you in the sense of actually physically broke you down.
Yeah.
And that was that was the stop point that you go, "Oh shit, okay."
The interruption of the autopilot I was on.
And most people, and I don't think you're probably a lot different, go, "Okay, I'll get better from that and I'll go again." Because you attack things, well, no, I wouldn't say attack. You drive hard to achieve.
Yeah.
You've got this thing up here. Where did that come from? This point of going, whoever it is, the inner person in you says, "I've got work ethic. I've got the guts to go. I'll give it the push. I won't be denied." Same now.
Yeah.
Just you've put balance into it. So what's that part of you? Where'd that come from? Was it your parents kicking your ass? Was it school teachers kicking your ass? What was it, that inner strength that just goes, "Todd, you're stepping over the plate. Get on with it. Get it done." The financial reward, didn't have it, but so what? It didn't stop you.
Yeah.
You didn't go, "Oh shit, 3 weeks in, man, this thing isn't going to
Right.
work."
Right.
You didn't take stock until you broke.
Yeah. You know what it was? I wasn't naturally gifted at a lot of things that I did, right? So, both my older brother was the smart one. My younger brother was incredibly good at sport, right? And rugby, which was the value system of my parents, right?
Yep.
And so,
Private school.
Right. 100%. So I was always in this competition space, and being middle child, you talk about the middle child syndrome is all the things that go with it, right? But to me to actually go and stand out, which probably at the time was to get attention, I had to excel, right? And in order for me to excel, it wasn't something that just came naturally to me. It was something I had to work for, and I had to work hard for it.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
But one of the things that always served me in everything I did is that when I started, once I got a sniff of it, and once I started to create some momentum in what I was doing, I'm like a dog with a bone, right? Like you're not getting me off anywhere. And so the drive really came from that. Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
And that is you. That's part of it. It's like, I'm crossing the line, I'm going.
Yeah.
And that work ethic, that sense of what it is, it's like, and maybe it was just to stand out in the family to achieve, because you could have gone the other way and just become an absolute shithead.
Right.
And you would have stood out too.
Yeah, I probably did some of that sometimes as well, but hey,
that didn't become that person.
No, you're correct.
Yeah, the other side of it, you play with whatever it is, but then the other side of it is how do I achieve? How do I break this cycle?
Yeah.
And I suppose the question from that is your book, so you've been doing this business for a while. You've got clients in Australia, New Zealand, obviously the US, Canada, UK, Portugal, Singapore.
Yeah, lots of places around the world.
There's global business going on now.
Yeah.
And you obviously worked out a whole lot of things about balancing life along the way, and we'll get into some of that. But you called your book Escape the Middle?
Yeah.
What are you escaping?
Right. So I'll lay some things out right here. Here's what I believe, right? I believe that in life we are programmed to accept a certain way that we're supposed to do things. And whether it's right or not is irrelevant, right? But we're programmed from the moment that we are born, through our parents, through society, through the education systems, all the systems of society really steers us down this pathway, which is what I call the middle. And the middle is this place where most people tend to sit, where they're not too upset that they're going to change, but they're not really living the level of fulfillment and experience and the opportunity that they really want to be able to have in life. right? And they oscillate in this space and tend to stay in this. And it leads to like this middle level of happiness, middle level of income, middle level of earning, middle level of experience in life, middle level of choice, middle level of freedom. And quite frankly, I just think life is about so much more than working to pay the bills. But that's the pathway where we're trained and programmed to follow, right? Becoming
by our schooling system.
By our schooling system, spot on. But then, our parents are just learning from their experience in society. It's not their fault. It's just what we're taught. But the education system is designed to turn us into good boys and girls, do it and told and pay our taxes and become functioning cogs in an economic wheel of society.
And it was, but that's probably like a system that was, I mean, we will talk about it being built around the Industrial Revolution.
Sure.
And all that, because
how has it changed?
Because, nowadays that's totally irrelevant to, probably very few people could tell you what they're going to do when they leave school anymore.
Right.
What even the jobs will be in 5 years.
Right.
AI disrupt. It's already disrupted.
Correct.
We're right at the start of a revolution that the world's never seen. We've got no idea what the next 10 years will really bring us, other than the path that we've chosen to take and how it will change. And so like with that piece of going down the middle, I hear you, there's this kind of big chunk that if we don't upset too many people here and we don't upset too many people on this side, we'll all get through.
Yeah.
But through to where?
Yeah, through to where? Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the outcome? What's the experience of life that you really want to have? And are you truly living it right now?
So I've got another question with that. And this is for my own self, is the older you get and the more time you spend somewhere near the middle,
right,
the less you identify with what you really probably want to be.
Because you settle, right?
Well, you kind of know what you can and can't do.
According to who?
According to your own program.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
That's the point.
And so what's a pattern interrupt that happens? Like you had a pattern interrupt young.
Yeah, I really did.
Todd.
Super grateful for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not at the time.
Yeah.
At the time you're going, oh shit, how am I going to pay the money anyway?
Exactly, yeah.
At the time. But now you look back and you go, imagine getting that at 20. But imagine the person who doesn't get it until they're 40. Imagine the person who doesn't get it until they're 60. Think of Colonel Sanders starting Kentucky Fried Chicken in his 60s or something.
Yeah.
Not saying that he didn't do it at the right time. It was the right time for him. But if he'd managed to find that in his 20s, then what would have that put? So what's the sort of pattern interrupt somebody can use to A, recognize where they're at, and B, recognize where they could be, and be able to get authentic about who they could be, or who they are and who they could be?
Really good question. That pattern interrupt is an interesting conversation, right? Because you can give yourself a pattern interrupt when you want to, but there's something that's gotten you to your point in your life where you feel you need to have a pattern interrupt.
Yep.
And whether that is a point of awareness where you sit there and for a lot of people, they get to these, what I call the done moments, is because they're looking around at the experience of their life and they're going, I just thought there was more to life than this. Right. And after working in the same job for a decade or 2 decades and with the cost of living and that's gone up how it is, the squeeze, the pressures of life and that feeling, that little bit of emptiness, right? Like, when you're young, everything is possible.
Yes.
Right. You can do everything, like the world is your oyster. You can just go grab it by the hands and do what you want. But then along the way, as we get into the pressures of life, we just tend to settle, and we settle for what we believe is possible and what we believe is not possible, and we start to accept it. And for most people, it's till they get to this point of dissatisfaction and some pain, and that pain might be the feeling of emptiness. It could be not being able to pay the bills again. This could be a level of debt. It could be not being able to give what you want for your kids. It's not being able to go on that holiday. It's not being able to experience life. It's that emptiness, whatever it actually is. And those are beautiful moments where a lot of people avoid them, right? When I sit there and I look at those things coming up, I sit there and go, face those full on, front on, and feel them and look at them and take that in, because often it takes that jolt to get people to move out of the middle and take this different pathway.
Yep.
And all it is, it just happens in a second, like where you just have that moment where you start to go, I wish there was more. And all of a sudden your awareness starts to open up and you start to ask some better quality questions. And as you start to ask some better quality questions, you start to have a different experience in life. And as you start to have a different experience of life, you begin to learn different things, and it starts to challenge all the belief systems that you always had. You know, one of the things I always remembered, and I have no way to substantiate this, none.
Yeah.
But I once heard that every single day you walk past 7 opportunities to be a millionaire. Every single day, 7 opportunities. But is your awareness actually at a point where you can go and recognize the opportunities in front of you, or are you too blinded? I've got a bill to pay.
Yep.
I'm tired. I'm too exhausted. I'm distracted with social media. I'm distracted with this. I've got all this going on. And you're just kind of funneling down the middle and you just keep rolling along. And for a lot of people, they keep doing that until they retire and realize the superannuation system is a joke and it's not going to support them in retirement and there's stuff and it's too late.
Look, I see it in tons and tons of people, and I look at the reinvention that you take during your life.
Right.
You know, like from one job to another to, you know, people having their midlife crises and then who are they going to become and, you know, what age they get to this. And then they're like, well, do I have to fit into that or do I have to fit into that? Where do I fit in the picture? Where they're lost.
Yeah.
They're kind of lost because they've never discovered maybe what it is that they can do and then being able to make the most of it.
Yeah.
And so with that, I go, that pattern interrupt piece is different for everybody.
Correct.
I'm going to ask you a question with that. Then what would be the most common situation you see people put themselves in deliberately to interrupt their pattern?
I would say they start getting themselves around other people who are playing a different game in life.
Yeah, gotcha.
Because, you know, we've all heard the saying that you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? And they did studies that, you know, those 5 people, your incomes are more or less within 20% of each other. And what we know, especially here in Australia, with all of our tall poppy syndrome and all the stuff that goes on, as soon as we start kind of stepping out of the gates a little bit further and start pushing it, like the crab in the bucket syndrome, right? Grab the legs, pull them back down again, you know, stay with us, right? But when you put yourself in this situation, this scenario, which is often uncomfortable to begin with, and where you're around people or opportunities or situations where you're playing a different game, it's hard to fall back. When I say that, it's hard to not recognize the vast difference between how you're playing versus how somebody else is playing. And that contrast can be the very thing that keeps you kind of moving forward at the same time. And if you've got the right people, they're going to be such a huge support for you to be able to do that as well.
I think that's a really, really valid point is when you change the people that you're around.
Yeah,
there's going to be people that are going to try and hold you back in the position of where you were.
Right.
And everybody kind of has this thing. I say everybody. I know I went through it. Oh, I'll lose these friends. You know, probably a good thing.
Yeah, was that intentional or did that just happen? That's always an interesting question.
You know, for me, it was a really intentional thing, but not probably driven quite that way. What happened is I'd moved from Wellington to Auckland. I'm an adventurer. I love to adventure into things. Don't overcritically think a lot of things. You know, that could be a problem. But I'll take the leap and then I back myself with hard work. I'll work it out and I'll put the effort in. I'll outwork the other person. That's the easy part. Whether it works or not is another thing. But I'd moved to Auckland and my girlfriend, her parents were like, I'd say kind of pseudo spiritualists. And with that, Wayne Dyer was coming to town. There was a bit of a salathon going with him, and I can't remember the others. He was the big standout that I can remember. Anyway, I went, they were talking about it. I went, what is that? I'm like, I'm not religious. Like, that was my whole big defense.
Yeah.
Big defense.
Me too.
Like, just
Me
like.
too. Same thing. Yeah.
Anyway, they said to me, oh, you know, you might enjoy this. And they used to go and get readings and all kinds of things. And I'm going, oh, yeah, these guys need help. Clearly they needed help. They were wealthy.
Yeah.
They had They were entrepreneurs. Now, they were very successful. They had a company that was global. And I came from a home where my dad went to work every day and my mum went to work every day.
Right.
No entrepreneurial talk in my home.
Yep. Same.
And with it, and we would have still been middle class as a family, like we were still doing okay. And there I'm with them, and I got this opportunity. I didn't go with them. I went with another friend. I talked to one of my mates, and at least then I have somebody to goof off with. And, yeah. So we went, and I'm there, and I'm listening to Wayne Dyer, and I'm going, man, this shit's left it field. Like, am I in the right place? And there was an epiphany moment where I went, Adrian, stop questioning it and listen to what the guy's saying.
Yeah.
And that was such a shift for me that it wasn't all about being, having a religion drummed into you or any of these things. It was having the opportunity of possibility and recognizing what I'd already managed to do at 21.
Yeah.
What I'd already managed to get under my belt in life experience, not in money, but in life experience, And I was like, yeah, this is an interesting shift. And from then I was kind of semi-hooked. I got some endorphin rushes or something.
Yeah.
And I went, this is interesting.
Geez, you and I have a really similar story.
Yeah, right.
Really similar, like scarily similar. So I was a personal trainer. And one of the people that I did some personal training with, she did some network marketing stuff. And there's a lot of personal development stuff involved in that. And so she managed to convince one of my other buddies who was also a personal trainer to go along to this preview night. My buddy happened to win a spare ticket to their next big event. Happened to win it.
What a lucky guy.
I know. And he bloody, what a lucky guy.
The room was 100% full of free tickets.
Everyone had a free ticket, right? And so he managed to convince me to go to this bloody 3-day event thing.
3-day one.
3-day one. So I got there and I'm going, I don't know why I'm doing here. Like, after about the first 3 hours, there's people crying over here. There's meltdowns happening over here. There's stuff happening over here. And I'm sitting there going, I'm in the wrong place. And the gall of me. At the dinner on that very first day, I went up to the facilitator. I said, I don't think I belong here. I don't have anything wrong with me. Everyone here seems to have something wrong with them. I'm totally fine.
You just haven't been there long.
This is 20-year-old me with all the ego that I've got. I got it all together. I went up and spoke to this guy.
Yeah.
And, he was one of those people who was he just had that pivotal moment in my life. Those people that they turn up, and he was in my life for 3 days. That's it. And just one of those people that turned up, and there was just this pivotal moment that he kind of had with me. And he just turned to me and looked at me and he just said, I understand. That's not what I was expecting to hear. I was thinking he was going to try and convince me something. I understand. Here's what I reckon. Just stay till the end of the night. And if the end of the night, if you don't want to come tomorrow, no problems whatsoever. Okay. All right. Fair enough. I put my heckles down and went away again. Hour later, I was bawling my eyes out, crying like a bloody baby, right? So we came in and we did this whole process, and I saw some parts of myself that I hadn't seen before, that I hadn't recognized, and the veil had been pierced.
Just like that.
Just like that. And I got hooked, and I was never the same ever again.
I think that was me with it as well. I went from that to a Zig Ziglar cassette tape.
Right.
And I'm going, what's this? What is this guy talking about? And I loved, like the Zig Ziglar kind of journey, because it was very much a functional, it was story, but I get lost in the story. I'll enjoy the story. And then what was the meaning of this? Meaning. I need to be told what the meaning is. But Zig Ziglar would do that. He'd explain the meaning as well at the end. He'd sum it up for me. And I was like, cassette tapes in the car and stuff. And my girlfriend's parents were giving me some. And then by then I had other people giving me some. And I had people asking me to join this network.
So your whole ecosystem had just started to shift and it started to adjust.
Yeah.
And once that ecosystem starts to change, here's what I know to be true. We will unconsciously set up an ecosystem around us to support who we currently are. Let me say that again. We will unconsciously set up an ecosystem around us to support who we currently are.
Right.
Because we will do whatever we can to stay consistent with our own identity. right? And then we go and unconsciously go and design everything to keep us as we are. Because that subconscious, unconscious mind is a deletion creature. It likes certainty. It likes to keep things the same. It likes to sit. It's a creature of habit.
Yep.
And the more that it can design your life that not much changes,
The easier it becomes.
the easier it becomes for your unconscious mind to go and work. But as soon as you start, so you've just gone and shifted your entire ecosystem around you, right? And as you started to do this, all of a sudden, you can't go back to the same space that you were in before. You're just not operating on the same frequency anymore.
Yeah, that's shifted.
Mm.
I remember the things that I became accepting of
Right.
with those new people around me, and the questioning. Oh God, the questioning of I didn't talk to my parents. I didn't really have a lot to do with my parents at that point in my life. I'd kind of semi-divorced them.
Yeah.
Because I'd gone, where they're at, I don't want to be.
Right.
And I'd experienced more than that. So then I was like, okay, that isn't where I want to be in life. So I'm going to let them go.
Yes.
And so I moved cities, moved away, still stayed in touch, but moved away. But I could never have the conversation with them, but I found all these other people I could.
Yeah.
And then conversations around wealth and conversations around understanding business and all these pieces opened up in that experience for me. And then the curiosity.
Yeah.
The curiosity. And then probably the next point, and this goes back to another question for you on it. There's one thing when it shifts, there's another thing in the belief that you can do it. You know, that mindset belief that you have either the skill set or the intelligence or the cognitive ability or whatever it is to actually do it. Where do you see that happen for people?
That's a really interesting question. You know, I see this a lot in the wealth and investing world, literally all the time, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, from my experience, right, when I first got into the world of investing and stuff, I decided I wanted to buy my first house at the age of 20, but I had no money and no way to be able to do it, right? But, you know, by that point in time, I'd started getting around enough people who were actually physically doing it that I started leaning on their certainty. And so here's what I know to be true is that when you're starting out something new in life, we've all had this experience in different ways. We're starting out something new in life. Sometimes we have to lean on the certainty of the other people around us that we can actually do it. I sit in front of any investor, I don't care who it is, and I already know that they can build wealth and create financial freedom before they can even do it.
Before they even know.
I already know it. And so this is the value of working with mentors and coaches, because you actually sit there and you're leaning into other people's faith and other people's certainty within you. And it's a really powerful tool, right? Because when you can actually lean into that, all of a sudden that can help pull you through different things where all your self-doubts start to come up, which is really just your old programming trying to reemerge just to, play the sabotage game.
Yeah. Yeah, I can tell you parts of my life where I've done that, where I self-sabotage my, ability to go forward. And
me too, yeah.
We all do it at different things. It's being able to recognize it and then actually having, I think, someone who will take you into the journey and not prop you up, but give you a path, a roadmap, give you some certainty.
Right. Because there's no secrets to success. There's just systems, right? And I truly do believe that, right? So, no matter any area you look in life, if you want to create success in terms of your health or your physical body, there's a pathway. It's already laid out for you on the
Plenty
path.
of people have done it.
Just go and do it. Like the same with business. There's a pathway, right? The same with wealth creation and investing. There's a pathway. The same with architecture. There's a pathway, right? There's some genius that goes in certain things and the ways of looking at things, which adds your flavor onto things, which can really expand it at another level. But there's a pathway which is already laid out. We don't have to go and reinvent the things, right?
So my question on that one, which I find really interesting, this is a thing that comes up with lots of people I talk to, is there is a path. There's a method for everything.
100%.
It already exists. With it, is their ability to choose which piece of the pathway they're going to take.
Right.
And so we talk about, first of all, talk about health and fitness.
Yeah.
So what's your goal, and then getting a clear goal.
Right.
And there's a pathway to doing that.
Right. Correct.
So that's first thing, is this first step. If you're going down these pathways and you go, okay, well, let's tick off a few. Everybody, I say this about my clients often. Most of my clients, if you're writing out the things on their life, and you put, travel, adventure, a whole lot of things. And when you put down wealth, they would just be ticking that box just like it was dinner.
Yeah.
It's done. They've got wealth sorted.
Yeah.
And, so then I get to play with some of their wealth to create the next piece of a dream, which is their home.
Right.
But when somebody doesn't have any, or they're not there yet,
yes,
they don't have those things, how do they start?
Right.
What's the first step?
Yeah.
What's that first stepping stone that can lead them to being able to get them all? And which order, or is there an order, do you put them in?
Interesting question. So I'm going to start by saying that, a lot of people think of wealth and success and investing as this big, crazy, outrageous thing. And that's a lie. It's not, right? What I mean by that is that wealth and success is created by small, seemingly insignificant things which are stacked up and stacked up and stacked up and stacked up until they avalanche over this thing called success, right? Yep. Whatever arena. It's a habit. Success is a habit, pure and simple. And so when we start thinking about doing that in the world of money and investing, for example, what we want to start doing is that we want to start normalizing wealth creation. Now, in our lives, what's normal is go to work and pay the bills. And do that if you're lucky.
Maybe get credit card bill along the way and debt.
Well, that's what most people tend to do, right? Yeah. Go to work so you have the option, but maybe the ability to pay some bills. But most people are getting into debt, right, is what's going on. The cost of housing now is taking up on average 50% of people's incomes. And we want, people are 50%. Wonder why people are going backwards now. It's a really scary scenario for a lot of people. And so normal is let's just go and work to pay the bills until we're 50 and then rely upon superannuation and hope that's going to support us in retirement. That's what's normal. What if instead we started normalizing wealth creation? What if investing and financial freedom started to become as normal to you as paying a bill? That's an interesting way of thinking about it. Now, when I start out on this journey with everyone, I take people through this journey called creating their financial freedom figure.
Yep.
And what this simply is that how can we create a compelling future? You're talking about health before. You're even talking about when you're helping people build their houses. You're helping them to create the compelling future around what their house is actually going to be and get that vision so deeply in their mind. And for you to be able to dig out all those little bits that you have some genius to be able to do, that you get to paint a picture in the sky, which is much bigger than what they ever potentially thought.
Yeah.
And the same as with money and investing, right? If we can actually sit there and go, how can we create a compelling vision, a North Star that we can put up in the sky that's going to pull you through the ups and downs of investing? Because there's always going to be challenges. Shit's going to go wrong. Shit, guaranteed.
Shit goes wrong at work.
Right.
Shit will always go wrong at work at some time.
Right.
You'll either leave it or lose it. But that shit's going to go wrong in life.
Yeah.
If you're in your own business, shit goes wrong every day.
It's a gladiator sport, 100%.
That's what it does. And so our ability to master the journey through shit,
right,
and keep moving instead of derailing or giving up. And
you just said there is the master key, right? It's not the smartest people. It's not the most talented. It's not the ones that even have the highest income. It's the habit formers. It's the ones who are willing to ride through the ups and downs and are so committed to their outcome. They're the ones that create success. I don't care where someone is starting, right? It's not how much money you have that makes a difference between the successful investors and not. It's your commitment to stay the course no matter what comes your way.
So why do so many people run to excuses?
Fear.
Of?
So fear of change. Because when we've been spending our entire lives, like decades of our life in a certain track in life in the middle,
yep,
it can feel we're very used to our comfort zone, right? We're very used to that, and we're very comfortable because we can predict exactly what's going to happen. We may not like it, but we can predict it, and often a lot of people default to certainty as opposed to
most of the time.
right. 100%.
Right. I mean, without slagging McDonald's, people will flag McDonald's. So no, we know that it isn't necessarily that healthy for us. Yes, it can taste good, but we know it's not a stable food system that we should use over and over and over. We'll default to it because we know that it's shit, but it's shit that we can eat.
We turn up, we know what we're going to get, we know what we're going to expect, we know when we're going to receive it. It's predictable, it's fast, it's convenient, we know it. Like, of course, it's the default.
Yeah.
And so we've got to get out of these default patterns, because if we keep falling back into default, those default systems that we're taught to follow in life are not good. They're not good for our health.
In the middle.
Right. In our health, in our relationships, in life, in money, all of it.
So, like escaping the middle.
Yeah.
I get that. Why do people gravitate to be in the middle? And I'm going to take one guess, which is our tribal behavior.
Right.
But what else? Why do people gravitate? I get that it's comfortable, that it doesn't over-challenge them, all those things. But why doesn't everybody just go, well, I want to excel? I remember years ago, somebody saying to me, if all your friends were millionaires, you'd only be a millionaire because you wouldn't know any different. And, if all your friends were football stars, you would be a football star because that's all you know. And if you were born into a war zone, and you lived in a war zone for the first 15 years, 10 years of your life, whatever it is, that would be normal.
Yep.
Bombs going off, people being shot, fucking things going all haywire, would be normal for you. Your ability to cope with that situation in another place would just be normal. Going into a nice, gentle neighborhood would be abnormal.
Correct.
It wouldn't have all that tension, all that stuff, all that fear, or whatever it is.
Right. So we can sit there and go, okay, so in school, what does the education teach us? And I'm pretty critical on this, and I'm happy to be challenged by anyone if it's better than what it is now. But I'm watching my daughter go through school right now. And I've got a baby boy who's 16 months old as well now. So I've got a big gap between kids. And he's not going in the education system. I can tell you that right now. We're going to be homeschooling him 100%. Traveling around the world, teaching him, that's what we're going to be doing.
Yep.
We've made that conscious decision.
Yeah, nice.
But as I've looked at what's happening with my daughter, she's not learning anything really different than what I was taught. It's the same thing. I repackaged in the slightly different format, and that was about it. But I sit there and I go, what are the key things that we need to excel in life? We need to be able to take care of our health. Right? Because we need to have it,
and physically.
Right, mentally and physically. We need to be able to take care of our health. We need to be able to communicate in relationships. Because men and women... We can text, yeah, that's my point exactly, right? Men and women, masculine and feminine, we're very different creatures. And
also the human race goes on because we can.
Right.
Even though we can test tube it and do whatever else, but that's part of the human race.
Yeah. So we need to learn how to take care of our finances and our money.
Yep.
And we need to know how to create a life, design the life that we want to be able to live. And I sit there and go, those are 4 key essential things that we need to know in life. Yet we're in the education system where we're taught anything about it. In health and physical education, I was talking about the gastrocnemius. So I knew how to throw a javelin and do some bullshit of the food pyramid. It's all crap.
Yeah. Oh, that part, definitely. The food pyramid. That's a nice construct.
Exactly right.
Beyond that, though, the sporting one is probably the best clear outcome one. And doing something like the army, very clear. Don't ask the question, just do the task. But
don't think at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. So
don't use your creative or whatever else. I have a friend, he captain coached 3 grand finals for Aussie rules for Australia.
Wow.
And he used to say to me, he was a general manager of a company I worked for, and he used to say to me, it's not rocket science, Adrian. It's like when I have a player. You see those sticks down there? Pick up the ball. I can run down there.
Right.
That's your job.
Yeah.
I want to hear any stories about this person ran into you or this one tried to get the ball off you, any of that. Pick it up, run. That's all you've got to do. That's your job.
What's the goal what's those set 2 sticks that we're taught in life?
That's the piece that we're not.
Right. We're taught that 2 sticks is get the safe, secure job.
And we'll get
right. That's the sticks. We're running as hard as we possibly can our entire life through the sticks to get to moving
those sticks as well.
Mate, we're going to be 105 or we can retire very
so
soon.
Those sticks are moving.
And they keep changing the rules around the superannuation. Some of the laws coming in around it's madness. So, madness. Yeah.
So that is the failing of not just our education system, but our society, our cultural system. Because can you have a country where everybody's rich?
Right. And this is the point. The government doesn't want all these crazy people running around who are financially free and in control of their own lives.
They spend money, they pay GST or VAT or whatever.
There's no control. There's no control.
Don't the government work for the people?
Supposedly, I hear those ideals every now and again. Yeah. I hear about what a concept that is. But like, that's what it's supposed to be. But they just want crazy people running around who are financially free, have all their choices. Money is used as a system of control. Factually, it is. And so, they want people who are obedient, good boys and girls, do what they're told and pay their taxes. And that's just how it is. But everyone gets to make a choice if they participate in that or not. It comes down to a choice. But you can't keep playing the same set of money rules in life and expect to get a different outcome.
Yeah.
If you want a different outcome, more freedom, more choice, more opportunity, more legacy, all that, like all those beautiful squishy words, then you've got to start by playing the rules of rules of money in a very different way.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's I'm very fortunate. I work with a lot of people who are very focused on legacy,
right?
Because they've already ticked all those boxes.
Interesting. It's super interesting, right? Because if you meet the average person who's just stuck in the grind, it's like their eyes are at the financial waterline, and they're moving a lot. They're treading water financially, flat out. Every now and again, they try and lift their head above the water. Another wave comes and washes over. They get dunked under, and that's where they spend a lot of their life. But as you start to lift your head above, then you can start seeing beyond the job, beyond the work to pay the bills. And you start to actually find there's something bigger in life. There's more purpose, there's more meaning, there's more passion, there's something that can truly go after.
And you shift the people you're around.
Right.
You're also seeing.
Right.
And then opportunity comes different again.
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't it?
The opportunities just open up. They were always there.
Yeah, they're the same opportunities that were there the day before you can see them.
Exactly right.
So then let's just focus on the fact that people tribal.
Yeah.
They all want to be individuals, but they all want to do the same thing as well.
Yep.
They just want to do it in their way,
right,
or in their tribe. They identify in their tribes by the way they dress, by the way what they drive, where they live, all these different things. With that, all the paths that we're all trying to get to are somewhat similar, but maybe a different journey to the outcome. There's got to be some paths that are faster, more secure. When you're driving along and Google Maps says to you, you could go this way and it'll cost you $6 more, and it will cost you and it will take 20 minutes longer, or whatever the hell it is. It gives you all these alternatives.
Yeah.
Why didn't it just always give me just the good alternative, the first alternative? I don't need to see my other alternatives.
Good questions, yeah.
But these are like distractions, and I'm ADHD enough that I go, oh, what's happening? But that distractiveness, and there must be some fast track paths that you see people take, and then there is the longer paths, because I always think of this as a creative, and I meet with groups of architects around the world, twice a week. And if you give an architect a form, you think they can just fill it out? No, they've got to redesign it. And it's like the form's going to ask the same questions. You're just going to make it look prettier, put them in different font, do some bullshit that's going to give you the same answers but you will feel better about it. People do it with houses. We could all live in the same house. And it's just kind of communism at this point when we just don't add our piece to it. The fast track that people can take if they're prepared to put the blinkers on, what are the common ones, and what suits a creative versus, say, somebody high analytics? What's going to suit the accountant, engineering type person versus the designer, bloody artist type person?
Right. I call this your wealth genius, right?
Yeah, right.
And I have a core belief that everybody has a genius. I have an absolute core belief of that, right? And
some of them, they keep it pretty well buried, mate.
Yeah, pretty well buried, right? Exactly right.
We'll give them the shot that they've got some.
They've got some. So we're just got to dig away a little bit to try and uncover what the bloody hell's going on there. Somewhere there. Yeah. I have a belief that everybody has a genius, right? And, this was a big part of my journey as well, is that it honestly, it was one of those pivotal game-changing moments for me, right? I used to try and do everything because I thought I was supposed to do everything and I was supposed to be good at everything. And I used to try and fix all my weaknesses. And it feels painful when I'm talking about it as well.
Oh, I do it myself still.
Right. So I used to try and fix all my weaknesses. But then I started to realize it was a pathway of mediocrity, right? Our greatest leverage is when we double down and triple down on who we actually are. And so there was this moment where I was down in Byron Bay and I was with some beautiful friends down there. And we used to do these retreats down there where about 5 or 6 of us. This is what I mean when we get around the right ecosystem, right? And so we used to find weird people to come in and talk to us just so it would stretch our version of reality, right? That's what it would be. Or we'd go
entertainment, but with a purpose.
With a purpose, right? And we used to do this. And we had this incredible woman come in and she did all this personality profiling stuff, right? And a lot of us have done that, and Myers-Briggs and things like that.
Yeah, and whatever.
Right. And so hers is focusing all on the talent dynamic stuff with Roger Hamilton. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. And so I did the test and she did a debrief with me. And all of a sudden I've been found out. Like, she knows who I was. It was so scarily accurate. It wasn't funny, right?
Yeah, right.
And
so star creator or creator?
Creator star, 70% creator, like really bloody high.
Got to just keep inventing shit.
Have to, all the time. Can start lots of things, can't finish anything to save my bloody life. I'm always late.
Yeah.
I turned up to our intervio today a little bit late.
So did I. I just beat you.
Right. And hopeless with timing. And all of a sudden I realized, oh my goodness, I've been doing all of this wrong. Because I kept trying to do everything and be everything and beating the shit out of myself when I wasn't good at it. It's something. And I was trying to be someone I wasn't.
So for people who don't know what wealth dynamics or talent dynamics is, you can look this up, Roger James Hamilton. You'll be able to find it somewhere. You can go and do your test. And as a really simple format to give you a bit of an idea, it starts with a creator in the middle and it goes around a square. As it goes around the square, it's introverted or extroverted on one side, introverted on the other, and it's head in the clouds at the top and it's feet on the ground or ear to the ground on the bottom.
Yeah.
And I could run around them all, but go and look for yourself, do the test. You'll probably get an epiphany.
Creation, people, timing, detail.
Yep.
Really simple format, right?
Biggest thing I got from it was, this is the stuff you're good at.
Right.
You need to find, I was in a big room when I did it.
Yeah.
You need to find the people in this room.
Right.
Who are good at this and this. Because it's going to take a group of 3 of you to balance out just because you're so caught up on your system over here. You're going to need somebody with this kind of energy over here. So mine was a deal maker in either an accumulator or a lord.
Yeah.
Maybe a mechanic, but just that kind of thing. So yours would have been, you're a creator. Extroverted, not introverted.
I'm introverted. Absolutely.
Oh, so you went mechanic.
Yeah,
my wife's creator mechanic.
Got
as well.
Got it. Yeah.
And then, so you needed supporter.
A supporter.
People are going to have to look this up.
They're going to have to look it up. Yeah. It was a supporter and probably a accumulator.
Somebody on the bottom line.
Yeah.
Accumulator, or Warren Buffett.
Yeah, a Warren Buffett type first thing. Yeah. But, the point is, you just made the whole point around the fast track is get your team.
Yeah. So I remember when I did that piece, getting this epiphany as well. So I'm a creative star and I can play in either space. That you would never rely on me for timing or ear to the ground.
Right.
No chance.
Yep.
Even when I've got an idea, it's either too soon, it was very rarely too late, but you've got to educate a whole market to it instead of taking an idea it's already educated.
Yeah.
And then needed something over on that Lord to mechanic side because it needs to be systemized to create the habit so that it runs.
Right.
Otherwise, I'll just run off and do something new and run off and do something new and run off and do something new.
Correct.
Getting the team, the other big point, and I remember Roger making this, he said, you'll find that wealthy people, if they're a creator, so we'll take Richard Branson.
Yeah.
Richard Branson developed his wealth in a certain way.
Right.
If you're looking for a mentor that is outside of a system, mentor, so there may be a system, but go to just a mentor. Make sure your mentor has made their wealth in the same genre that you are in. So if you're a creator, then the strength is being around another creator, because if they're a star, or if they're an accumulator, that they're that. Now, this was his point, a system can round all that out, and you'll have a leader that will be someone who is one of those genres, but they don't have to be the same. Just hook up with somebody who's going to make their money through the same thing, so your conversation uses the same language.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
I absolutely do. Absolutely. And so, this is where I talk about the wealth genius, right? And this is what it's all about, right? So Richard Branson is the CEO of owns like 400, 500 companies, or more, probably more.
Fingers we've got.
Yeah, exactly right. He doesn't run the companies. He finds the right person, he installs them, right? But he's zeroed in on his genius of being able to recognize and create ideas, and he's doubled down and tripled down on who he is, and he's built the team around him to mitigate where it could potentially fall off.
Leverage.
Right? It's the ultimate leverage. And every profile has the ability to be able to do that. And all you've got to do is, even without doing the test, all you've got to do is sit there and go, where in life do you feel in flow? Where in life do you feel out of flow? What is it that you find effortless and easy that other people just sit there and go, I have no idea how you do that?
Do you think most people have the self-awareness to understand when they're in flow?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so we can use some other language, right? When does time just pass and you don't even notice it, right? Because I agree with you. Having some self-awareness of sitting there going, when I'm into flow, that's a question that a lot of people don't get asked ever in their entire life.
Or even know
what that means, or
how to recognize it in them.
Right.
But like you just said, when time stands still, and you could have been doing it for 12, 15 hours or something.
Right.
But
what's yours? Where does time just go? It just disappears. Drawing. Right.
When I actually sit with a pencil, I'm just working through a pencil. I don't know. I've got all the cognitive responses to what I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm just looking for the challenges and I'm just playing. It's just, I'll be there 8 hours and then go, I should get a drink.
Yeah. Creating and writing is mine. Same. Like, so just different type of creative, right?
That you're right.
Absolutely.
I'll get it. I don't do the right.
Do the talk. I can't draw for shit. That's why I don't get to draw very much. So, but like, I'll lose time and it'll just go.
Yeah. I see my wife do it. And so she's a mechanic.
Yeah.
But I see her, when I say she's a mechanic in the profile, I see her do it in spreadsheets.
Right.
The formulas, the making spreadsheets, dance and sing.
Oh, you lost me.
Me, I'm like, shoot
none.
me. When she says, have a look at this, I go, you want to do a house? You do that while I do this. Because that's about as foreign as that would be for her.
Right.
But I get it. That's her. She is building systems backwards, this, checking that, laying it in, doing all those things, and then she can put something in, and the magic to her is it spits out an answer that she can trust.
Yeah. And
then she can take that answer and apply it.
Right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The point about this is that when we can become more of who we already are, that's our greatest source of leverage.
Yeah.
Right? Rather than trying to be someone or do something in someone else's way, our greatest source of leverage is getting clear on who we are, which is building awareness, right? And then where we can double down and triple down on us and then find the system based on us that we can then follow the pathway.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the system definitely exists regardless, doesn't it? Like there's a pathway.
Right.
It's finding the one that it nurtures you to take it.
Right.
And also that you feel the belief system because that person's like me, they've done it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And therefore they've done it. So therefore, surely if they could do it, I could do it. I mean, it's like when I go surfing and I'll be out there and it's big and some, 18-year-old girl paddles out and I'm like, oh, shit, go away. Because it means I have to take off on those big waves as well. I can't just sit at the back and hide. But, it's like I go, if she's doing it, why are you doing it? And she might have 10 times the skill set of I do.
Yeah.
But it's that thing of going, are you going to back off or are you going to actually step in? Lean in.
Again, is all about deciding who you're going to become and where you want to be in life because you have a choice in every moment. You can step off the wave and you can just go to sitting and lulling around in the ocean there and not getting anywhere and not going anywhere in life, right? Or you can choose, you know what, I'm going to step up, I'm going to take that wave and I'm going to go after what I want in life because I've actually gotten clear around what I want.
So what did you call your program that gets people clear around what they want? Finding their
The financial freedom figure, FFF.
Genius piece.
Oh, the wealth genius.
Yeah, wealth genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that is a systematic stepping way for people to uncover who they want to be.
Right.
Or I shouldn't say who they want to be, who they are.
Who they already are. It's building awareness and actually understanding yourself.
Do you think that most people aren't comfortable with who they are?
Oh, geez, that's a big question. Most people...
You deal with a lot of people. You deal with them across a whole lot of different cultures.
Yeah.
They might be unhappy with where they're at, but are they unhappy with who they are?
It's a great question. And I would say that a lot of self-doubt pops up on a regular basis, which isn't necessarily saying it's not happy with who they are. Obviously, you'll recognize that in certain people, but I can't sit there and go, I see that as a constant thing on a regular basis. Do I see a lot of self-doubt? Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes that self-doubt can manifest in that and people like beating themselves up, which could then, they would, well, I don't like who I am because I'm beating myself up because I have this self-doubt, which is created from this fear because I was programmed to feel this way and experience life this way when I was 7 years old or whatever it is, right? And so then there's a whole thing that I call it the money lens, right? You can go and reverse engineer all the different pathways that occurred to get that why you are where you are right now in your financial life and your level of thinking, right? Because we talk about system, right? We create the compelling vision. We get clear on who we are. We start to unravel the belief systems that got us to the position where we are in our life right now and in our habits and our all the different things that's creating
what's got us here so
far. What's gotten us here so far, so we can actually bring the unconscious into the conscious, which is in a new decision-making framework, and then we get to make a new decision around if we're going to keep that or if we're going to start to shift it and transform it into something very else and break through that ceiling of the middle, which we tend to consider spend most of our lives in.
Well, most people want to break through that.
Right.
Because they...
who doesn't want more money, to feel healthier, have more energetic, to feel better about themselves, to have more experience? Who doesn't want that? Why do people not take it?
And even if they've solved one of those issues, like they might have solved money, they have more community, more adventure, or more something else. There's something they're asking for. And if they've solved community, then they're looking for something more from that.
Right.
They're looking for to get all the ducks in a row or all the boxes ticked, to get that all in I suppose, alignment. And that never probably be quite in balance because one will be here, one will be there, and you're constantly flowing through them.
It's a tricky dance, isn't it? Like, and you've obviously always been driven. That's the case, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you had the same experience, but like for me, especially in my moment, it's different at 40. I'm 41 now. So it's different at 41 than 28, right? In my 20s, it was just like go, 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 career, career, career. And I wasn't taking care of my relationships.
Yep.
Right. And so I had certain areas of my life which is broken, right?
A lot of people would just say that's that time of your life. And you've got to get shit done.
Sure, maybe.
Maybe.
Depends what you want for your life.
Would you do it the same way again?
Yeah, great question. I thought a lot about this. I'm a deep thinker when I go back and think about this. It's hard to say no, because would I be who I am right now if I didn't have all those experiences in my life with all those level of realizations? And the answer is no. I am who I am now because of the sum of all the experiences and all the parts that I've had. And after having all those learnings and that level of awareness, the pain, the good stuff, and all the things, I wouldn't swap it for anything, right? Would I change some of my behaviors? Sure.
Retrospectively, like you would,
right? Sure, exactly right.
I'm yet to meet the
base level of the self-awareness, right? Is there some dumb shit I've done when I was younger, which I probably shouldn't have done?
Yeah. And probably more some more
exactly right.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily go away, does it? But that self-awareness and growth, it's like, when you're making your decisions and what decisions are you making. So going back to the book.
Yep.
You already teach all this stuff. Why'd you write a book?
Legacy. You wrote that word down before.
I did.
To me, I believe we all have a reason for being here on the planet, right? I'm a teacher at heart. That's who I am. It's what I love to do. And, I know I'm here is to help people to break free from the financial slavery that we find ourselves in. Because when I can actually support people to break free from financial slavery who have something bigger to be able to go and give back to the world, then, that's part of my mission for being, right? And so to me, this book was all about legacy. I had the choice to go, let's just write a little mini marketing book and do all the thing and all that type of stuff, right?
Yeah. That's why I'm going.
Right. I did that. And it's not that I'm ashamed of it, but I'm ashamed of it, right?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't truthful. It wasn't authentic to me.
It wasn't pulling on what really mattered to you.
Right. Exactly right.
Which is legacy.
Right. And so with this book, it really is just, and when I say the start of this legacy piece, right? It's I'll write many more books. I have no doubt about it. It's what I absolutely love, and I love doing it.
Well, it's part of your flow,
right? Absolutely, it is.
It puts you in the right space.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, my wife has come down many times. It's 4 a.m. in the morning. I'm still writing. Just in the last 12 months, I've been doing that. Yep. I might be getting a bit old for that now, but she's still there. I've just lost time, right?
Yeah.
But this book is something I've really poured my heart and soul into, right? And it works. Like everything in there is a proven system that I've been developing over 20 odd years, and I've laid it out in a step-by-step pathway, in a sequential sequence and a system for people to be able to follow to actually make a fundamental difference in their lives and in their families' lives.
So that's your legacy or part of your legacy.
Right.
Not your full legacy,
right.
Part of your legacy. Is that just an ego trip for you?
No. When I sit there and I think about legacy, I think about impact. There's 4 parts of legacy to me. There's 4 parts of legacy, right?
Yeah.
One part of legacy is all about impact. And I think about the books that had an impact on me.
Mm-hmm.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like that book, the legacy of that book for so many people was incredible, right? And it was a pivotal point in people's lives.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? And it was that for me at age 19.
Yep. At age 19?
Age 19, right?
Wow. Okay.
And so one part of legacy is all about impact.
Mm-hmm.
One part of legacy is all about, it's kind of like let your life be the greatest message. Let how you live matter, right? And in the book, I tell the story about...
Going by example.
Right. There was this great movie. It's called The Ultimate Gift. And it was it's like probably one of my all-time favorite movies. And in this movie, there was this guy called Red, and he was a self-made multi-billionaire. And he the movie was shot with him. He had passed away, and he'd recorded a series of videos.
I think I've seen that.
Have you seen this?
I think so.
To his spoiled grandson.
Yeah.
And so all of his other kids were spoiled, and he went, my grandson, this is the hope, right? I think
I've ruined those ones, but this one here.
I can see something here. There's something different in this boy than is the others. And so he gave him nothing in his will apart from these series of gifts. And he put this boy through all these different challenges. When I say boy, early 20s, right? Yeah. Through all these different challenges, the gift of hard work, the gift of friendship, the gift of of giving back, and all these different type of things. And at the end, I won't ruin the movie, but like the point of that matter is that he learned the lessons. And along the way, Red left his life lessons of a life well lived, documented in a way that then when it impacted him and everyone else around him. My great-grandfather was Sir John Beals Chandler, right? So he was the Lord Mayor of Brisbane for 12 years during World War II. And I never met the man. My mother, he was dead well before I did, but my mother only met him once when she was 7. But I heard all the stories from my mother about who this man was. And so I grew up knowing all these lessons, these stories about my great-grandfather that I did not know, that my mother barely knew, but his life lessons was a legacy that was passed down 2 generations now, which I'm now teaching to my kids. And that's legacy, right? Mm-hmm. How can you let your life that's well-lived, what is that meaning?
Yeah.
Then there's family legacy.
Yep.
Multi-generational wealth.
Yeah.
And then there's contribution. How do you want to leave the world in a better place? Impact, living, family, contribution. That's how I think about legacy.
Yeah. And the other two, the family legacy, I find that really interesting. I've got quite a few clients who have built what we call legacy homes.
Yes.
And they will amass a bit of land. It might be 10 acres, it might be 100 acres, whatever. They will, they'll have they'll entrepreneurs, they'll have businesses that they will start putting a massive fund together that land will be held, pretty much can't be sold by the kids or anybody else, but it will be held multi-generationally.
Right.
And it won't necessarily be passed to another child, but it will be a family estate.
Right.
And as it will have trustees, as it will have all these things, that in the future will have this family estate, and the family and the generations of family beyond that will get to use it. They won't get to borrow money against or any of those things, but they'll get to use it. It'll get to be a gathering place of community for the family. Which is pretty amazing.
You've been to my forest.
No, I haven't, but yes.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, you haven't yet. Yeah. But that's exactly what I've done with that. It's exactly the reason I bought the rainforest.
So I had a girlfriend in New Zealand, and she worked for one of New Zealand's richest guys.
Yeah, right.
He was in the top 8.
Right.
And it's really interesting. He would have people asking him for money left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
And he would never give anybody money. He would give them a team. He'd say, Todd, here's your problem. Let's clearly identify it. This is where your business has failed. This is where it's gone wrong.
Right.
So this bloke, and this bloke, they're going to be working with you for the next 3 months and then 6 months if required.
Yeah.
You ought to follow every word that they say.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear any of your stories. Do as told.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in 3 months, you'll have a business that's...
I love it. That's so good.
This is legacy.
Yeah.
In 6 months, you'll have a business that's that, and they will then advise me whether it should be sold. And you shouldn't be the person who runs it, or what you're going to need to take it to the future.
Wow.
And at that point, then I'll make a decision about what's going to happen to your business.
Wow.
Because you've either learnt the lessons or you haven't learnt the lessons. That was phenomenal for me. I'm like, right, he could solve their immediate problem with money.
Yeah.
Just forget it. Just easy done. The other thing that he did was he bought an island off the coast of New Zealand.
As you do. Yeah.
As you do.
Yeah.
Yep. And he made a funding account for this island. And then he donated the island to New Zealand as a national park.
Wow.
But with a fund that would be constantly generating more wealth to pay for the use and the upkeep of that island, and it could only be used that way.
Yeah.
But it became a national park.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
That was legacy to him. Now, you can't even go and visit that national park without the right permits and only to study certain bird life.
Right.
Otherwise, you're not allowed on there.
Yeah.
But that's how he wanted it left. But it's not in his name or any of that stuff. Nobody knows it is him. But this incredible legacy play, because his kids had everything they need. Everybody else in the family has everything they need. But he wanted to be able to leave something that could go forever.
Incredible.
Asset to the country.
Incredible. I love it.
Yeah. It's fascinating, when you talk about legacy and how people's contribution plays back into that legacy as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a big part of it, right? Conservation is really important to me, right? So that's something that's...
You've got a forest.
Right. And I bought the forest as a legacy home for my future generations. That's why I did it. So everything you were just talking about there is exactly why I bought this place. It's got its own food. It's got its own water. We're growing it. There's multiple different places for different homes. There's a place for my family always to be, no matter what. And it's going to be set up that way. I'm going to tie it up in so many knots that no turkey in 2 generations' time can go and screw it up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm a big believer in that. I'm also a big believer in leaving the world in a better place. That's legacy wealth, building wealth which outlives you.
Yes.
And that's exactly what you're talking about. He lived. He was able to buy this island and give it back to the earth, right? Give it back to New Zealand, give it back to the earth. Can't be built out, can't be touched, can't be nothing. Give it back to the earth.
Yeah.
Right. What a beautiful gift. That's legacy.
That is legacy, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's I remember getting my head around his actions, and not really getting it at any depth. I'd never been around anybody that I could experience something like that with. And, having conversation with him about it one night, we were at some functional dinner that we were invited to, and having this conversation with him about it and going, so why, And he goes, because it's not about money.
Yeah.
It's not about that. Money doesn't make the difference here. Another thing that him and one of the other guys, and again, think of legacy, one of his mates, both super wealthy, and he took on a thing which is in New Zealand, it's called the DSIR. Here it's the what do they call the Department of Science for the country,
Right.
whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah. He took on being chairman of that. And part of New Zealand's and Australia's thing is protecting the Antarctic and having a base down there that, is for research and all the rest. And they did this amazing legacy play as well, because what they wanted to do was they wanted to highlight the Antarctic for fundraising and for government and for people. And they went, how do we engage people in a different way? And I love the creativity of this. When you're thinking of legacy, how do you play to your full creative power?
Right.
So they got a bunch of artists, from poets to songwriters to painters to sculptors and all the rest, and they flew them down to the ice, and they had guides and stuff for them and took them to different places. And there's lots of these cool stories about things they experienced. And they were tasked with coming back and making a piece of work that related to the ice.
Right.
Or pieces of work. And some of the artists came back. There were poets, as I say, that went down and they wrote books, but major pieces of poetry. There were people who wrote songs. There were people who made sculptures. There were artists who did big paintings. There was some performance art that came from it. And then what they did with their wealth and influence was they were able to get these all exhibited. And It wasn't like they were going, okay, well, we're going to sell that and the money's going to go to this or anything else. It was to raise awareness, but to meet the marketplace via the arts.
Right.
Because one of them was a patron of the arts and the other one was the DSIR.
Yeah.
And both of them had a common cause in this. And they knew that they could engage their level of people into it. And then again, the bigger play of legacy is that it meant that for generations, these pieces would be passed down.
Yeah.
And you would have them in all manners of form in the community. So those paintings and stuff ended up in art galleries,
right,
et cetera, et cetera.
And there's a story behind each and every one of them, which is how message and learnings is passed on, right? Yeah. I absolutely love that.
It's kind of cool, eh?
Yeah.
I love that, the creativeness of it. And so when you identify legacy, so go back to the book.
Yeah.
When you get people to identify that they have an opportunity to leave legacy.
One thing that I always talk about there is that, like, just play a game with yourself. And, like, you know, in this game, it's like you go try on some clothes. You can always take it back off again, right? But try not. Just do this for a moment.
See if it fits. Yep.
See if it fits. Imagine that money was never a problem for you in your life ever again. That just for one moment, it was never a problem. It was never even a consideration for you. That everything it was just handled.
Yep.
What would life be about for you then? And that's an interesting question that a lot of people don't stop and ask themselves to really think about. Like, what if we just remove that as the part of the conversation? And how would you think differently if it was no longer about, I need to make some money? Right. And that's why the people you're talking about, like who bought the island, money's just not an issue. It just doesn't matter. Right. So what would I think about? And what would I want? What I want to create? What would bring meaning to me if that was no longer an issue? Right. And as a starting point, it's the very thing which just lifts people's heads above that financial waterline just for a moment. Even if reality comes back down in a moment, just for a moment, see beyond the waterline.
Allow yourself.
Right. Allow yourself. Give yourself permission to look at a future different than what you're currently experiencing right now. And even just for a moment, believe that it's possible. Right. If we just put ourselves in that space of vision, all of a sudden it just, again, I keep talking about this awareness thing. All we need is this crack in this awareness to open up slightly. And as we can step through that and have the courage to step through that, one foot baby step after another, then as we keep going, awareness just opens up, it opens up, it opens up, it opens up step by step. But, you know, and that's great to go there. And then people go, oh, but I'm here right now. And then they'll bring it, come back down to earth and they'll go, oh, that's a nice little exercise. That's fine. But I'm here right now. You don't understand my situation, right? And I'm here. I've got this type of thing. I've got to do this, got to do. I get it. I understand. And you know what? Then we've got to go, okay, well, what do we need to do from here to start taking that first baby step? How can we start changing your version of what is normal to you right now? And how can we start opening up the realm of opportunity for you that's different than what you're currently experiencing, knowing that more is out there? And all you need is that crack and just that ability to be able to step through it, just that first little baby step, one at a time. Because every great journey always begins with that very first step.
Yep.
You know, wealth and success in anything is a marathon. It's not a sprint, right?
Yeah.
And so
it's habits.
It's habits. It's commitment to a certain set of strategic habits that you stay committed to over a period of time. And the most beautiful thing about knowing that is that anyone can do it no matter what.
You're putting this book out. It's part of your legacy.
Yeah.
What do you hope to see in the next 5 years from you putting the book out?
Yeah. What an interesting question.
What are you gonna see that you will know has been a step towards the vision that you had of the legacy of bringing the book out? How will you measure that? How will you see it?
I've been asked this question before, so thank you.
I just came up with it.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Thanks, buddy. It's great. Yeah. It will be an acceleration of what I'm already experiencing with a lot of my clients, right? What I do right now with all the coaching and the training programs that I do at this point in time, I have the privilege to get to see the outcomes it has in people's lives, right? And I see not only the difference in their financial lives and what they're making and the assets they own and the cash flow and the income and the opportunities and choices they create, but in the way they speak. in their level of thinking, in who they are now as a person, because they've actually gone through the gauntlet and have actually, becoming someone new in the meantime, right? And like, I want these trainings and I want what I'm teaching here to impact millions literally worldwide. And so to me, it's sitting on an airplane or hearing some people in their early 20s and just going, oh, have you read this book? Have you tried it? This has really helped me, right? And you know what? Like, if I can hear that, that's a really beautiful thing, knowing it's having that impact.
Yeah, I imagine when it's removed from you, and nobody knows who you are, so you're anonymous in it, and you hear somebody else talking about it, and it's directly that's related to, or even more when somebody says to you, have you ever heard of this bloke's book? And they know it's you.
Right.
That's, I imagine, quite a feeling that you get to. I know you're a coach. So as a coach, people often tell you with lots of gratitude how you changed their life.
For sure.
And there's a wonderful feeling in that. And it's also a driving force to change more lives.
For sure. I
know from doing the podcast, the number of times people say to me, people I've never met, there's thousands and thousands of listeners to this podcast.
Yes.
And somebody will reach out to me and say, hey, I got so much out of this.
Right.
And I won't even remember this point that they're talking about. I'll be like, what podcast was that? Who was it with?
Yeah.
And they will tell me, and I go, right. I go, okay. So I'll go back and find that and listen to it again to see whether it was just a skip over for me, or whether it was an epiphany for me, or whether it was something I already knew, or did I not capture it? Was I too busy getting to my next question? Was I too busy in my story? And the fact that community changes things, the commonality of community.
Yeah.
And when you write a book has the potential to go so far beyond you.
Yeah.
You're just an author over here.
Yeah.
And it's not about them joining a coach.
Exactly.
It's none of that. It's about they've got a step-by-step
right.
to get to the end.
Right. The ripple effect can be extraordinary.
Yeah, processional value.
Yeah, that's interesting to me, right?
Yeah, well, that's legacy.
Yeah, it's legacy. To me, it comes back to legacy.
Yeah.
Driving force for me.
So at the start, you said something about, this book, and you'll probably write many more. What kind of other books will you write?
So I intend to write a book about the wealth genius, because I really fundamentally believe in that.
Yep. It's foundational.
I think it's absolutely foundational.
Mm-hmm.
I foresee I'll write a pure book just on legacy.
Yep.
Right. That's something really deep and really strong for me. And, moving forward, it's really going to be wherever my journey is taking me. Right. And that's going to change as I continue to go. Right. And so it may be a book on psychology. It may be a book on personal development. It may be a book on conservation, or who the hell knows. I just know that, like, when we can start sharing more of our journey, like exactly what you're saying, you said something in a podcast which might have meant nothing to you at the time. You don't even remember it. But that thing that you said, because you shared part of your world, part of your experience, part of your life, had an impact and a ripple effect that you can't even quantify or magnify in any way, shape, or form. Right? And so when we can go and share our own journeys and share our own experiences, our learnings, whatever that pathway is going to take, we can never quantify what the impact it's having on other people. So I'm going to write a book on wealth genius. I'm highly likely going to write a book on legacy. That's my next two that I've kind of got in my mind right now. And from there, who the hell knows?
Well, knowing that that's your new flow.
Yeah.
Is to do that and to put it into the written word. And as much as that's a challenge as well, it's a joy.
For sure. Yeah.
Like, it's work, but it's good work.
Yeah.
It's worthy work.
It's art, and I'm learning it. I enjoy learning. I love nerding out on it, like how that one word, if it's changed to a different one, has a different type of impact on it. It's curious to me. I find that stuff. I love nerding out on that shit.
One of the things that you said earlier with that is having the forest and, creating this legacy place in that forest, and then also about the earth. So clearly I'm a designer. With that, I think so much has shifted in my years of designing.
Yeah.
Of putting such a high value on the land. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean a monetary value, I mean a conscious value of this is the only land we've got.
Yeah.
And what we do and how we do it on there should be done with honouring it. And we should be leaving it. We're probably going to alter it, but we should be leaving it better than we found.
Right. Exactly.
So we shouldn't be leaving it worse off.
Mm-hmm.
And how important that is. And I see what your journey has, such a parallel with that. It's about leaving each step, putting down a foundation and going, that's a worthy one.
Right. Absolutely. I truly believe in that intentionality with every single moment, right? The more that we can be intentional with that and not just throwing up any old house, but throwing up, using the earth as, and honoring it. I love the word, honoring it, right? And that's what I aim to do with the forest, with everything I'm doing out there.
Yeah, with everything you're touching.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
Todd, awesome, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Wonderful. It was an awesome conversation. I don't know about you guys, but I got truckloads. I didn't even write that many notes. It was just dancing. And from first podcast in person, I'll do many more, because as much as I love doing it in Zoom, that energy exchange is ridiculous. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Cheers, man. Thank you for tuning into our conversation. I hope it left you both informed and inspired. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen. And please don't hesitate to share your design thoughts with me. It's always a joy to hear from you. If you're like me and crave a deeper dive into design thinking, coupled with a love for travel and adventure, consider one of my architectural adventures. Join me and some of my wonderful design friends and embark on a journey of a lifetime. Apply for an unforgettable design experience at adrianramsey.com. With our clients spanning the globe, I firmly believe behind every great project are great people. If you're a great person and seeking to turn your dream into a reality, I'd be honored to design your home with you. Why not join the ranks of our exceptional clients and let's make your heart sing? Reach out to me at studio@ardesignhouse.com. That's studio@ardesignhouse.com, and let's get a conversation going and make your heart sing.